Hi, everyone. It's me, Krylios, Team Racing Productions MC and producer. And joining me today is Justin Paglino. Welcome.
Hello, thank you. Hi, Krylios.
Hello, hello. It is great to have you here with me today. I want to start this off with having you introduce yourself to our audience and letting us know a little bit about your background.
Sure. My name's Justin Paglino. I live in Connecticut. I am a candidate for U.S. House of Representatives. My background is, well, I'm originally from Connecticut. I lived in Ohio and in Pennsylvania briefly. I went to medical school at Brown University, and then I did a residency in laboratory medicine, which is like clinical pathology for fluids, so to speak. And then I went into science. I was interested in science, so I did 5 years to get a PhD, and then at Yale, and then I did 10 years of postdocing at Yale, which is just working in someone's lab in virology again.
Mm-hmm. So I should have introduced you as Dr. Justin Paglino.
Technically, but I'm not hung up on it. It doesn't really.
Okay.
People call me Justin. It's fine.
Awesome. Well, Justin, tell me why you've chosen to throw your hat in the ring during this cycle, as candidate for Connecticut's 3rd Congressional District.
Well, I believe that I represent some views that are pretty popular and that aren't represented on the ballot if we don't have a progressive candidate on the ballot, if we don't have a third-party progressive candidate on the ballot. In my district, our representative is Rosa DeLauro, and Rosa DeLauro is very popular, and she's been in the office 30 years, and she's accomplished some positive things. But I have my differences with her that I think a lot of people share. For example, she's not a supporter of Medicare for All, which has broad support among many people. In the opinion polls put it at a majority support. And she's not one of the co-sponsors. I'd like to see a reduction in military spending, and I think that's also a very popular position. We spend an incredible amount of money on our military budget, like $750 billion every year now at this point. And that's just counting the Pentagon budget, not other expenses from like the Department of Energy. And but that's also a very popular position that people would like to see that spending redirected towards more human needs and social services. And Rosa DeLauro is a consistent, reliable vote for the defense budget pretty much every year. So why am I running? And is also kind of the answer to that is partly also why am I running third party? It's because I don't believe that the two major parties represent some pretty popular issue stances. And I think those need to be on the ballot, because I heard Howie Hawkins say, if you don't vote for something, you'll never get it. He was the presidential candidate last year for the Green Party, 2020, 2 years ago now, for the Green Party. And that was very influential to me. And it made me think, that's true. If I go to the ballot and I don't vote for these things that I care about, how do I expect them to really happen? So I wanted to be the person on the ballot who gave people the chance to vote for these things.
Yeah.
And represent that viewpoint, which I think is widely held.
Certainly. And I'd love for you to get even deeper with some of these issues that, are close to your heart that you would like to tackle if elected. So talk me through some of these issues that you really want to tackle and address.
Sure. Well, there's two of my top issues are Medicare for All and ranked choice voting.
Mm-hmm.
But ranked choice voting is a reform that has to do with allowing third parties better access to the ballot and putting third parties and independents on a more level playing field than our current voting system. But in terms of, and I could talk about that more later, I would like to. But I should start, I think, with Medicare for all. Medicare for all, single payer, universal healthcare is something I believe in very strongly. I do have an MD, but I think just as a human, I just believe that it's a moral imperative that we should be providing universal health care to everyone in the country, which we currently do not do. There are financial barriers to getting health care that are very real for very large numbers of people. Some surveys have shown that, it's not just a few people who are struggling with this. There are maybe 20, 40% or more of people who have reported delaying care because they're concerned about the cost. And that's just not right. And then, studies try to estimate how many people are dying each year because of lack of access to medical care. And they estimate maybe, around 70,000 people a year in the US, which is staggering.
Yeah.
And so, we also pay more for healthcare than most other countries. We are the leader in the cost per patient. And you might want to say, well, I guess we pay more, but we get more, but we really don't. We certainly don't get universal coverage like most other industrialized countries. And our outcomes are not the best in many ways. If you look at infant mortality or even life expectancy generally. And so the fact is that we could have both. We could save money and save lives with single payer healthcare. Then there's my slide that's referring to that. There have been many studies looking at how much money we would save. And the estimates are 5 to 15%. Right now, we spend about 30 trillion. Is that right? Or is it 3 trillion? Yeah, 3 trillion. So the 10% of that would be 300 billion. And if we say 15%, that would be about 450 billion. That slide was referring to one specific study from Yale that said we would save $450 billion every year, which is a lot of money. That's a lot of savings. And everyone would be covered. And when I say universal single payer healthcare, I use the term Medicare for all as a slang, but it doesn't mean Medicare as it exists. It means no copays, no deductibles, everything is covered, everyone is on the same plan. And this is we know this is a workable model of healthcare because it exists in other countries. And we know that we can save money by doing it. And so it just seems foolish to me that we're not doing it. And I think the arguments for are quite strong. And there's been a push for this for many years in our country to try and make this happen. I mean, going back decades, really. And if you can't vote for it, how are you going to get it?
That's true. That is true.
So again, that's why I wanted to be on the ballot. I'm happy to do that. I think I'm trying to give people a voice.
Yes,
part of this movement, which I know has enormous enthusiastic support.
Well, let everyone know why you are the best choice for voters.
Oh, well, if you want to see these changes that I believe in, I encourage people to vote their values. We have a system of government, a system of voting that creates a two-party system. And the problem with our vote, the way we vote, is that you only get to pick one candidate on the ballot, And we don't typically have any runoff elections either. Like, if there are multiple candidates and then it comes down to the top two, in a lot of countries, or even in a couple US states, they have runoff elections. Because they realize that, there's something inherently kind of constraining about just only being able to pick one candidate and then that's your final answer. You want to see who makes it into the final round and then have another say. There's something very appealing about runoff elections, but we don't have to have runoff elections. We can have what's called instant runoff voting or ranked choice voting, where you rank your candidates 1, 2, 3. And a lot of people are familiar with this now. So I'm explaining it for people who haven't heard about it, because I'm very excited to see that it's been catching on. They're doing this now in Alaska and Maine and many municipalities. New York City is now using it for their primary elections, and I think municipal elections, right? They did the mayoral race, and then San Francisco has been using it. So a lot of people are gaining familiarity with it. The advantage is,
it's been a big discussion in the District of Columbia as well. So yeah, it's been a big discussion there as well.
Yeah, and everyone's tired of the two-party system. You ask people how many of you would like to see third parties be more viable, and the answers are like, it's a majority. It's 55% at least. But I think not everyone realizes what a problem our voting system is, and how ranked choice voting would fix the problem. And it's legal, it's constitutional, it's easy to use, it's very intuitive. I like this person the best, I like this person second best, and but it would be transformative. I really believe it would get us out of this system we're stuck in. And the problem with the two-party system, everybody knows, but you look at your two options, you're given two choices. And what if you don't like them? What if there's a third option that you like better? You're scared of voting for it if it's not one of the major parties, because you're worried that it might tip the balance of between the other two candidates, among which you have a preference. I was a Democrat for all of my life until recently. I was a progressive Democrat. I felt kind of taken for granted. I never seemed to win out. You could call me a Bernie Sanders Democrat. But, when it came down to it on election day in November, you feel a lot of pressure to vote for the Democrat, because, if you don't and you vote for a third party, you're worried, even if that third party matches your values more, you're worried that you're going to tip things to the Republican. And, the Republicans are, off the deep end, and they're legitimately scary. I don't claim that there's no such thing as a spoiler factor. There's no logic to voting, holding your nose and voting for the lesser evil. That makes sense. I did that most of my life. But I came to believe that, I came to learn that we can have a better system. And I always knew a two-party system kind of was dissatisfying. I never liked it. But when I learned that we can do better, that we could have a multi-party system, I said, yes, that's going to be a better democracy. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Certainly. Go ahead.
So, yeah, the Green Party is a party that aligns with a lot of my values. And I decided that I would look into joining. This was in 2020. And they had no candidate for this office. So I signed up. I said I would give it a shot. I had to collect over 2,000 signatures from registered voters to get on the ballot. And 2,000 didn't sound like a lot, maybe. But I learned how many that is. If you've ever gone out and collected petition signatures, you know that, on a good day, you can get maybe, 15 an hour, 20 an hour if you're really cooking. I mean, 20 an hour, that would be like, 3 minutes, because you stop and talk to the people a little bit. They want to talk politics. I mean, keeping it down to 3 minutes is pretty reasonable. And so 10 signatures, 20 signatures an hour, for 2,000 signatures, you're talking 200 hours, at about, and that's a lot of hours. That's 40. If a full work week is only 40 hours. We're talking 200 hours. So
Yep.
it has to be divided up among as many volunteers as you can find. But I spent a lot of those hours myself. I got about 900 signatures personally, in parking lots, because it was 2020. It was the year of COVID, and I mean, we're still in the COVID, but
Yes, we are.
but COVID had just come out, and there were no public events really. There was almost nothing. I went to some Black Lives Matters rallies. I went to there wasn't much else happening that summer. I went to like Walmart parking lots and grocery store parking lots, and just caught people as they were coming or leaving to their car.
Well, that's how you do it. That's how you get on the ballot.
Yeah, it's a lot of hours.
And for those who are watching too and want to know when voting starts, when does voting begin for this position?
Well, Connecticut, in my state, we don't quite have early voting yet. Yeah, so it got support from the legislature, but I think it has to go to a referendum in November. I believe we're having it'll be on the ballot as an issue in Connecticut.
Okay.
Or actually, I think it may be no excuse absentee ballots that are on a referendum, and then the legislature. It's all complicated. They have to pass it again. Two subsequent legislatures have to pass it, and so we're not there yet. So it won't be until election day that people can vote for me. But
for those who are watching, for the people who are watching and you want to just make sure that you're ready to vote, please just make sure that you're registered. You want to check your status before the election, and you can go to headcount.org to check your status and register to vote before the election. So once again, that is headcount.org. Justin, if people wanted to support your campaign, donate, learn more, follow you, keep up with what you're doing, how can they go about and do that?
Well, I do have a website, justinforall.org, with the number 4, Justin for All. And you can sign up for my newsletter, where I will make important announcements. There's the URL. You can donate. There's a button at the top to donate. The website is a bit of a work in progress. I'm not a master of WordPress, but I'm learning and I'm working on it. And I'm getting some help. But you can email me. As I hope you can tell, I'm a friendly person. I'm willing to talk to anyone who has any questions. I'm pretty active on Twitter, so I'd love for people to follow me on Twitter at JustinForAll2. I don't know who Justin for All without the 2 is, but I couldn't get that one. And I'm fairly active on Facebook, less active on Instagram, but I'm on there, and I have a snail mail address too.
Awesome. Well, Justin, I wish you the best of luck on your campaign. Thank you so much for being here with me. It's certainly been a pleasure to talk with you today.
Well, thank you. I wish you all the best, and very nice to meet you as well.
Thank you. So those who are watching, please follow Team Racine Productions on all forms of social media. That's Twitter, Instagram, Facebook at Team Racine. Like, comment, and subscribe to this channel. But most of all, thank you for watching. Bye, everyone.